Today on Brilliance Business TV, we have Dr. Susanne Kurz. Susanne is a German scholar, creator, life coach, author, and speaker. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have a wonderful guest on the show today, Dr. Susanne Kurz. Susanne is the incredible person who does all of my uploading of my IMDb show for this amazing, incredible show. She's doing a great job on that, but I'm really looking forward to a conversation with Susanne today. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're also on the E360 TV network, going out to Apple, Fire, Android, Roku, and many more platforms. We're also on mspnewsglobal.com. We're also streaming to USA Global Radio and Television Network, and we're also on Business Innovators Radio Network. So let's bring in our incredible guest, Dr. Susanne Kurz. Susanne, welcome to Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm going to get started with the first question. Share a little bit about your professional background, Dr. Susanne.
Yes, so I started out in life in academia originally. I was a researcher and university teacher in the cultural history of the Persian-speaking world during the times of Islam. So I'm essentially a cultural historian of a different civilization. And then when I decided to drop out of academia, which was a couple of years ago, I started to see a psychology education, a practical education. It's not an academic degree that I have in that. And also a hypnosis education, because I wanted to start out as a life coach using hypnosis and trance states as my main tool.
Hypnosis is really, really powerful. I've actually done an incredible hypnosis today as well. I use hypnosis daily, Susanne. It's so powerful for changing the mind, isn't it?
Yes, it's actually a really powerful tool for reprogramming. And something else also, which I find very important and helpful, and it's my main focus when I use hypnosis on clients, is to reconnect or to connect first time, depends on how your life has been going, with your inner guidance, and to go on discovery journeys into your inner being, into your inner strengths and resources, and help you with decision making and finding your path that way.
I agree totally. Really, really powerful tool. Hypnosis goes straight to the subconscious mind. Susanne, would you summarize your journey to where you are now?
Yes, I decided to drop out of academia in my late 30s, and it took me a few years to actually get my new education and then to start a business. And there were many reasons for that. It's a very complex decision that I made there. Essentially, it wasn't my calling anymore. It had been, and it wasn't anymore. And then I had a phase where I really didn't know what to do and was kind of hanging in the air. It's like a little bit like a big black hole, but I wasn't aware of that at the time. Looking back, I could realize that, and I could notice that. And during that time, on the side, while I was contemplating and trying to find my path, my new path, I did a hobby. I created fan pages for an actor. And in that area, I gained a couple of very useful skills that we may be talking about later on. And at the same time, I had already started to go more intentionally about my spiritual development. I had grown an increasing interest in all things spiritual and the meaning of life and death and all that. You know, when you hit your midlife crisis, the things that happen then, and eventually, so I decided to start a coaching business, as I said before, and while I started that during the pandemic, I tried to start out locally and essentially hit the first lockdown when I had set up my studio. It was just the first lockdown. So it didn't really go according to plan. And I did that for a while and it didn't really take off. And at some point I noticed and I realized that I actually like being in trance states myself a lot. And so I started channeling. I started to channel stories and I restarted to write. Obviously, I had done quite some writing in my academic career, but I started writing in a different way. And I was also pointed to a need for technical help by some lovely spiritual coaches and healers and entrepreneurs who are very gifted and very talented and very good at what they're doing, but don't really like the technical side of the business. And so I started to help my fellow coaches and healers in my circle, in my online community with technical stuff. So that's a new offer I have. And so I started actually a new branch in my business just last year. And I also noticed that some people could use some help with their online profiles. Like as you mentioned yourself, if you have a show, a podcast or a TV show like yourself, it may be a good idea to put it on the International Movie Database, IMDb. And I'm also able to help you if you are eligible for a Wikipedia article or you already have one. So that's not a huge amount of people, but people who have that know that it's a community project, so it needs constant servicing. You constantly have to look after your article there. And that's also something I can do very well because I have done that. And it's also something that directly ties into my skills from academia because it's an encyclopedia, and that's something obviously I know about is writing encyclopedia articles and how to do that.
You've got a lot going on there, Susanna, and I must say you've done an incredible job on getting my show onto IMDb, and it looks incredible there, and it just opens up the show to a whole new level and a whole new audience as well. So anyone out there with podcast shows, I would recommend getting in touch with Dr. Susan. She's so thorough and she really does a great job at that. What are your main messages, Susanna?
So currently, a really important message for me is to get out the word that death is not the end of our existence. That's a conviction I have come to over a couple of years. I've struggled with the idea that we completely disappear into nothing when our physical brain dies, which is actually the dominant paradigm at the moment, the materialist paradigm. And most people I know in my environment who are academics or even scientists are convinced of that. And I really suffered from that. I was very, very unhappy with that. And so I started to dig into that and have found enough to convince me. So that's always a very individual path, but to convince me that death is not the end, which has a huge impact on both the meaning of life in my perception. And I think that's something that is true for everyone in a way, that how you perceive death has a huge impact on how you perceive life. And it also means for me that when you have grieve over the loss of a loved one, that yes, you will feel pain and you will grieve, but you won't suffer quite as much as you will when you think it's this person is completely disappeared and nothing is left of them, except for memories, obviously. So that's a really important message I have. And for that, I actually have set up a podcast, which you can see in the background, Death and Beyond. That's started out as a YouTube series in both English and German, because German is my native language. And then I set it up as a podcast to the English version of it. And that's just going. And there I'm sharing the steps that have brought me to this conviction. And I think that's a really important thing to talk about. And another very important message connected with that is don't give up on spirituality if you don't have any gifts switched on at the moment. So that's because that's where I started out, that I didn't really have any, perception that goes beyond our normal 5 senses. And I always was interested in what else is possible. And it took me years and years, essentially decades, to get to the point where then suddenly I started having experiences. And sometimes you need to open up your mind first and go on this intellectual level first, and then it can come. But that's another message. Just don't give up. If you are interested in that, if you feel a desire for that, and even if it takes many years and you have no results with all sorts of exercises and things, just don't give up. It can come at the point when it's right for you and ready for you. And the last thing is that I found that regulating our emotions and getting into a distance to our thoughts, so we are not identified anymore with our thoughts or our emotions, is very helpful to support serenity and resilience in life. That's my main messages.
And that is a very, very powerful message. I've done so much work on myself, and you really do have to become the complete observer of your thoughts without judgment of your thoughts, without getting attached to them, and just watch them go by. But it is a skill, isn't it? Because some thoughts, they want to grab you in. Some thoughts are not nice. And it's really about being a new observer of those thoughts and being loving, compassionate, not judging, and staying strong. And rather than panicking or getting attached to the thought, it's about becoming a new observer, seeing past the illusion of those thoughts. So that's really powerful. And I agree with everything what you said about death. I don't think for 1 minute we just die. I think we're eternal beings. I'm very, very spiritual. I'm connected to God, source, the universe. And I just think we're having this experience on earth, but we are spiritual beings, and we go on to bigger and more levels of consciousness when we pass. So I'm very, very in line with what you're about. So stay on this call. Once this is ended, I'd like to ask you something. How can you help our audience?
Well, first of all, I have some free material, some free resources that give inspiration, encouragement, and insights. One is the podcast I've already mentioned. Then I have another show on YouTube, which is my TV show, where I interview people who have navigated major life changes, and they just share their story and sometimes give some tips about what they have learned on their journey. And that's meant to encourage people and inspire people who are in a similar situation. And yes, I also have a playlist that's called Life Hacks on YouTube. And I'm just about to upload another video, both in German and in English, where I share some things that I've learned that are small things, small exercises, or small tips and techniques that don't take a lot of time, that don't take a lot of effort, but have a huge impact, or can have a huge impact, that I have tested, that have worked for me, both for things like regulating emotions and getting a distance to your thoughts, but also for practical things. The next one is about something very practical, but something that can help with all the things you have to do in your life. Then I have low-cost offers, like the book that you can see on the other side in my background. That's a book that's currently available as an ebook on Kindle, as a Kindle ebook on Amazon. And I have a print version coming up during the next couple of weeks. It's almost finished. And that's a book with channeled parables, channeled short stories that I have not made up, not thought up, not invented myself, but received and written down. And I've selected some of them that I think are really encouraging and comforting and inspiring. And they all come with a message. So I call them parables because they are all very metaphorical, but they are little stories. And I've also added some images for more inspiration and also aesthetic pleasure. And I have added journaling prompts so you can go deeper into it and use each of these short stories to actually dig deeper into yourself and to discover your own truth that may be addressed by the story. So that's a very low-cost offer too. I also have an offer to channel your personal story. I've just recently done an interview with someone who took me up on that offer, and we discussed her story also that I channeled for her. That's a personalized offer. It's a bit more costly, but if you have bought my book and then sign up to my email list that is dedicated for books and low-cost offers, then you can get a 40% discount on that. And for those people who understand German, I also have a hypnosis course for stopping your thought carousel, so to speak, when you have a lot of thoughts in your head at night, for example, and falling asleep more easily. And I'm intending to put that out in English too in a while. And then I have my tech help for entrepreneurs, which is content editing, repurposing, platform administration. I can also do book formatting and all that sort of stuff. That's always a tailored offer. So whoever is interested in that just has to come to me and talk to me, and we can see if I can help, how I can help, if it's in the budget and all that. And I have my online profile service for IMDb, the International Movie Database, which is for show hosts and also for actors. If any actors are watching here and are struggling with their IMDb or with their Wikipedia, I can help with that.
Lots of things there, and I love the one about thoughts and the hypnosis. We'll chat about that later. What are some exciting projects that you're working on right now? Have you just said them all, or is there things that exciting things you're working on, Dr. Susanne?
Yeah, I have some more exciting things there. One is that I'm currently part of a new book collaboration by Katie Carey from the Soulful Valley publishing house. And that's called Becoming the Manifesting Diva. That will be a very inspiring book because everyone is sharing about their manifesting stories, what they have, essentially the miracles they have experienced in their lives. And that's launching on 17th September. That's an English book collaboration. So that will come out on 17th September. Then I have an upcoming interview in my Change interview series on YouTube with a wonderful actress, Amy Bailey, who is mainly known for her role on the hit TV show Vikings. And she is a sweet, lovely person. And she has shared quite a lot of changes she has navigated in her life, and also what the challenges were and how she's dealing with that, how she's doing that. And the last thing is my fantasy TV series in development. It's called Magician's Blood. It's essentially Prince of Persia meets Game of Thrones. And we have a war between two kingdoms. We have magic in it, which is tied to spiritual concepts in our own world. Our main character is of mixed heritage. So he's essentially caught between these two kingdoms that go to war against each other. This character will be played by the British actor Ivan Kay. He's also known from Vikings. as King Aile of Northumbria. He has an immensely powerful on-screen charisma, an incredible playing range, and he can display emotions and evoke emotions in the audience in an intensity that's awesome. And he will be our leading man. We have a strong female character. I'm still negotiating with my wish list actress, and the themes are essentially showing that midlife and midlife crisis is a portal to new avenues. So we have main characters that are a little bit older, in their 40s and 50s, and we also have a younger generation and love stories and all that. So we have all that for the younger people too, but we have a focus on a little bit more major themes and people who are a little bit more advanced in their lives. We have the theme of Clash of Civilizations, which we are exploring, and also overcoming the clash of civilizations. And another theme is the questionable character of truths handed down over generations. So there everything comes in that I have done in my life, the skills I've acquired, the knowledge I've acquired, the experience I have made. This is all combined in this show. And yeah, I hope to find some people who want to back this with money or with advice, with help, so we can start shooting soon our first piece, which will be a short version of the pilot. So that's all the exciting projects I'm at the moment, on top of the other things I've already mentioned.
They're really, really exciting projects. I would say to everyone, for more information, connect with Dr. Susan on Instagram, send her a message, follow her, and that is at dr.susanne.kurz. That's at dr.susanne.kurz. Susanne, I've thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Thank you so much for being my guest today on Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you, Mark, for having me. I would just share one little tip so people who are watching this can take something away about the distancing from your thoughts when they are beginners. Do we have time for that?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. So because when I started out and I started meditating, I had a really big problem with, stopping thoughts or even observing thoughts, because I thought, how do I do that? Because I was completely identified with my thoughts. And a technique that I've learned that I think is really helpful is that you try to recognize where your thoughts are coming from which direction they are coming. Do you feel or see or hear your thoughts coming from the front or from the back or from right or left or top or bottom? So try to figure out from where do the thoughts come when you're talking to yourself in your head. You can also try to just, when you notice you're talking to yourself, just to interrupt that. And another option is to figure out what shape your thoughts are taking or what form they have. Do you receive them as sound or as just an idea, or do you see them written, or do you have an image, or all of that? So these are, I think, exercises that really can help you on the first steps of the way to start getting a little bit of a distance between yourself and your thoughts, so you are not totally identified with them anymore. And from there you can go on then, and always be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, never beat yourself up because it doesn't work, or you have a problem with keeping at that, or you just got sucked into your thoughts and feelings again, because it's a process and it takes time.
It certainly does take time and consistency as well. Great tips there, Dr. Susanne. Thank you once again for joining us on Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you, Mark. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you, and hope to see you again.
The pleasure's been all mine. Thank you everyone for joining us on Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. Until next time, bye for now.